Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ajeng Hanifah, the presenter of our research paper. Our paper entitled Establishing Organizational Culture to Prepare Faculty of Engineering of Diponegoro University to Face the Upcoming Higher Education Policy 4.0. First of all, for the introduction, why do we need to evaluate the existing condition of the higher education right now? It's because the higher education institution have an important role in the transition of society to adapt to the 4.0 industrial revolution. On the contrary, the existing higher education institution system was designed in order to meet the needs of the previous industrial revolution. So these systems are irrelevant to be applied in the Industry 4.0. One fundamental aspect to be prepared in welcoming the higher education policy 4.0 is the cultural aspects of its organization. And to understand the organizational culture is by mapping it into two sections, which are the existing organizational culture and also the expected organizational culture. The organizational culture changes should involve all elements, both leaders, staffs, and also students. And these elements will become our respondent in our research. We use OCAI instrument to determine the percentage of each type of organizational culture in the Faculty of Engineering, both existing and also expected. And then we also use the gap analysis to determine the readiness of the Faculty of Engineering in applying the appropriate organizational culture related to higher education 4.0. OCAI, known as Organizational Culture Assessment Instrument, this OCAI consists of the 6 dimensions that serves as the basis. You can see here, and this OCAI frameworks helps us to interpret various organizational phenomena. This category generates into 2 dimensions. The first is to determine whether the organizational culture is internally or externally focused. And the second dimension determines whether the organization is acting with flexibility or with stability. So this OCAI instrument is which subsequently map the organizational culture framework depicting the core cultural of this framework, the competing values framework. Here you can see that in this framework, the x-axis is about the internal and externally focused, and the y-axis is about the flexibility or with stability. And by this framework, we can determine what is the culture type of an organization. For example, whether it is clan, autocracy, hierarchy, or even market. And each type of the organizational culture type have different orientation. We use also gap analysis to determine the readiness of the Faculty of Engineering Diponegoro University. The steps of the gap analysis is the first to determine the score. The second is about the assessment checklist, and the third is about the gap rating. You can see that in the table 2. Let me give you an example. If our result of the gap analysis lays between 50 until 74%, it means that the organization still needs improvement in the implementation of new organizational culture. So the higher percentage of the gap analysis, the organization will be more well prepared to face the new challenge. This is for our research methods. We use OCAI instruments, which consists of 6 dimensions. The first is dominant characteristic. The second is organizational leadership, then personal management, organization binding, strategical emphasis, and also success criteria. For our data collecting, we use questionnaire and also brainstorming. Whereas for our data processing, we conduct we conducted it through two phases. The first is mapping the existing and expected organizational culture, and the second is analyzing the gap between existing culture with the higher education culture 4.0. This is our OCAI scoring result. Like I mentioned earlier, that all elements in the Faculty of Engineering are our respondents. So here is the first elements from the principal perception. The principal perception coming from the Dean and also the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, Diponegoro University. Here you can see that the percentage of the existing culture the highest percentage of the existing culture is hierarchy, and the expected culture is also hierarchy. What about based on the second element? The second element from the educational perception or the staffs like the lecturers and etc. The educational perception also stated that the existing culture of the Faculty of Engineering Diponegoro University is hierarchy because it has the highest score. But for the expected culture, the culture type of the Faculty of Engineering is clan because it has the highest score. From our third elements is based on the student's perception. Based on the student perception, for the existing culture was also hierarchy, but on the expected culture was clan. And we combined the score of three types of the elements, and from the sixth dimension of the OCAI, then here we can see that the existing culture is hierarchy because it has the highest score, and the expected culture is clan. But is hierarchy or clan really the characteristic of higher education 4.0? The hierarchy is actually very formal and structured workplace. It's considered much about the control, and clan is more like considering about the collaboration. But after reviewing the characteristic of higher education 4.0, it could be concluded that the appropriate OCAI organizational culture was educracy. Educracy culture is a culture that characterized an organization as a dynamic, entrepreneur, and also creative workplace. This is the result of our gap analysis. The total mean value that we obtained from the respondent is 70.5%, but here we can see that there are several dimensions that lays in the second quadrant. Like I mentioned earlier, the second quadrant is from 50 until 74%. The first dimension which lays in the second quadrant is dominant character, personal management, strategical emphasis, and also success criteria. So according to the four dimensions that lays in the second quadrant, we analyze the root cause to know the main cause of this low percent of gap analysis. We use the root cause analysis using 5 whys methods, with the participant is the Dean of Faculty of Engineering. So this is our main problem, that the dominant characteristic, the main problem of the dominant characteristic is about the public organization that were governed by formal rules and etc. I will explain later in the next slide. After doing the 5 whys analysis or root cause analysis, we propose some improvement recommendation by brainstorming with several stakeholders. For the first problem, which is about the public organization were governed by formal rules, we recommend to align the paradigm of the Tri Dharma College with the era of the Industry 4.0. We also recommend to do adaptive environment, ensuring the academic system, innovation, research, and etc. And also the adaptive environment for the graduates and competitive and characteristic human resource, such as reorient the curriculum through new literacy, extracurricular activities, and also entrepreneurship and internship to be mandatory. For the second problem is about the human resource that was unable to adapt and has agility that is not prepared to comply with the higher education policy 4.0. Based on our brainstorming result, we recommend to increase the number of character building activities. We also recommend to develop extracurricular activities for leadership development and teamwork. And the last one is to provide an internship program for lecturers. For our third main problem is about the absence of policies requiring technology uniformity in any department. Here we recommend to implement an equal development of higher education infrastructure relevant to 4.0 industry in every department. So in the Faculty of Engineering consists of 20 departments, such as industrial engineering, electrical engineering, naval engineering, and etc. And we also recommend to establish the same policies for each department, such as strengthening IT infrastructure with information systems and etc. For the last one, our main problem is because there is no special policy either at the university level nor the faculties that govern the readiness of higher education policy 4.0. Therefore, we recommend top management that ensure the whole academia to aware to the existence of the industrial phenomena 4.0. And we also recommend to build the character of the lecturers, conducting faculty competency mapping that supports 4.0 industry, provide internship program for the lecturers, training digital business skills, alignment to industry and public needs, alignment of curriculum, research, and the last one is about the teaching industry, strengthening the downstream activities to support the development direction of industrial scale prototype. So in conclusion, the OCAI framework, the OCAI instrument categorize organizational culture into four, namely clan, educracy, market, and hierarchy. Our organizational culture here in the Faculty of Engineering, based on the perception of leaders, employees, and students, is hierarchy culture, but the expected is clan, but actually both hierarchy and clan is less precise to be applied in the higher education 4.0. Our result of the gap analysis, we have the total mean was 70.5%. It means that the Faculty of Engineering still needs to conduct activities that support the development of educracy culture, such as character building, new literacy, infrastructure, alignment to industry and public needs, global network for academic, research, innovation, and others. Thank you for your attention. I hope this will bring new knowledge to all of us. Please feel free if you have any question to ask.
Yes, thank you, Ibu or Mbak Ajeng Hanifah. You look still so young. Thank you so much, Ibu Mbak Ajeng Hanifah, for your presentation. We have a question from Bapak Yang Feng. Yeah, I would like to ask the actual users of this system, how do they evaluate the system? That's the first, and does it bring great convenience to their work? So there are two questions from Pak Yang Feng.
Okay.
The actual users of the system.
Hello. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, I can. Hello.
I have some trouble of connection here.
Okay. You can continue because I think we can. Yeah, I can, and I think we can hear your voice, all of us here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Yang Feng, for the question. How do they evaluate the system, and how does it bring great convenience to their work? Okay. From our respondent, which consists of the staffs, the lecturers, and also the student, they evaluate the system using the OCAI dimension that I mentioned, consists of 6 dimensions. And yes, if we apply this recommendation, I think it will bring more convenience to their work.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Ajeng. Do we have another question from the floor? I think no, yeah. So my question, yes, my question, Mbak Ajeng. If I'm not mistaken, so actually the unit of analysis in your study are different from a difference. Hello, Mbak Ajeng. Can you hear me, Mbak Ajeng?
Sorry. I have some trouble here. Yes. Yes, I can hear you right
Oh,
now.
okay. Okay. So you asked to the deans for the sample, yeah. I want to talk about the sample. So you asked to deans and then the students. And one more I forgot in your presentation, dean, students, and
Dean, student, and the staffs.
the staff.
Yes.
Okay. So for the total in your study, the total sample, how many respondent in your study, Mbak Ajeng?
Um, we have 110 students. We had 70 staff, so it's about 180 respondents in our research.
And so,
Plus
yes.
the dean and the vice dean, about 184.
Did you use the same measurements as you said you use OCAI, right?
Yes.
You use OCAI, so you use the same measurements to all different sample.
Yes, we use the same instrument.
Okay, how did you? I just want to know how did you calculate? Yeah, how did you calculate and until you got 70.5%, yeah, as the readiness level of Diponegoro University?
Sorry.
How did you calculate until you got the point or the score? The readiness level for Diponegoro University is just 70.5%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yes. According to our respondent, our questionnaire was Likert scale, consists of Likert scale, and we obtained the gap analysis is 70.5%.
Is it the average or you use like the weight? You know, you put the weight for each items or the average without the weight for each item?
We use the average. No, so each item has the same weight.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Last question, Mbak Ajeng. Hopefully you can hear my voice, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Last question. Regarding the recommendation, yeah, I believe a lot of things to do, right? So, which one that you suggest to them to fix fast?
Well, I think because the culture type of higher education 4.0 is more like educracy that considered much about the innovation, entrepreneurship, and also creation. So I think the best recommendation to be applied right now is about the extracurricular activities and encourage the student and also the lecturers to do internship program.
Is it in what? Is in what variables? Clan or I forgot clan, advocacy or what variables for your recommendation? In what variable?
Oh, okay. Because of in this research, we compare with the higher education system 4.0, which is the educracy culture. Therefore, therefore our recommendation, because the educracy culture characterized with innovation and risk takers. Therefore, we recommend to apply the like. Um, the extracurricular activities or even the encourage the student to be entrepreneur like that, something like that.
Okay, thank you Mbak Ajeng Hanifah. I think time is up. Yeah, it's maybe more than
Okay, thank you so
yes.
much.
Thank you so much as well. So